Very well, thank you for your hard work, let's go to work. After the boss finished speaking, the two bowed slightly, turned around and left the office. They had just walked back into the Adventurers Guild Hall, and the environment was not too noisy, when suddenly there was no sign of tat-tat-tat footsteps. The urgent sound caused everyone to look towards the door at the same time. I saw a staff member in the uniform of the Adventurers Guild holding a stack of documents in his hand, holding onto the door frame out of breath. Here we come. The result of this special gods meeting. Chapter 124, Monster Newcomer. Beautiful girl blocking the way. Thanks for the monthly ticket of finally rushed to VIP. 3 days later. He Faith Twasi family resident forging room. Li Yiming put down the hammer in his hand, and his eyes fell on the forging platform. A blade glowing red had already been forged. He spent a long time beating the black sword of Udaos into what it is now. It can be said that he did not sleep for 4 full days and 4 nights. But fortunately, such high-intensity efforts are not without gains. It's finally a success. It's time for the finishing touches. I hope you won't let me down. With hot eyes shining in his eyes, Li Yiming directly stretched out his right hand and held the long knife that had not yet finished cooling down. Even the terrifying temperature, under the protection of armed domineering, still couldn't hurt him to share. Then there is quenching and grinding, which is also the most important part of the forging process. Especially quenching, whether it is 1 second longer or 1 second less, will have a great impact. If quenching cannot be effectively mastered, then this weapon will be considered useless. Put the knife body into the quenching pool, a large amount of steam rises, the temperature drops rapidly, and the quenching ends quickly. However, it's not over yet. Li Yiming put the blade flat on the grinding stone, and began to sharpen it vigorously, removing some minor flaws on the blade in his hand, and at the same time grinding it into the shape he needed. It took another whole day to finish grinding the blade in his hand. So far, this carefully crafted blade has finally come out. Rinse the water once, then throw it into the plant ash, the water was sucked dry, and a pitch-black blade appeared in Li Yiming's hands. There was still a slight residual temperature on the handle. Much better than the ones he has used before. The weapon made with the black sword of Udaos has the same appearance as the sun will knife Li Yiming used before, but the whole body is pitch black, which looks strange and ominous. As for whether it has reached the level of the first level of armed forces, 167 is not particularly clear. But at least Li Yiming is very satisfied with his work. For a long time to come, this knife will become his saber. Perhaps after being continuously nourished by the armed color domineering, it may produce unexpected changes. Then strike while the iron is hot and continue to forge the armor. After forging for a long time, Li Yiming's state is not very good. This kind of long-term work with high concentration is no easier than going through a big battle. Even at this time, he can still forge the armor before his state completely declines. Complete. So in the next day, Li Yiming continued to forge. It took almost a week before his closed door was opened again. Holding a brand new light armor in one hand and a brand new weapon in the other, Li Yiming's unkempt appearance has completely lost his previous handsomeness. He hurried back to his room, took a hasty shower, then lay down on the bed and fell into a deep sleep. The next day. Waking up after a day of sleep. Not long after the eyes were opened, there was a loud noise in the room, and the hunger in the stomach was almost unbearable. I'm so hungry. It seems that I really haven't eaten for several days. Although my physique can withstand this kind of high-intensity work, the feeling after the end is really not so good. Scratching his head lightly, Li Yiming got up straight, put on his clothes, then left the room and walked towards the kitchen. At this point in time, his knowledgeable domineering spirit still did not perceive the aura of Sister Butterfly. Having said that, it seems that it has been a long time since I saw the two girls. The two sisters also go out early and return late every day. In addition, Li Yiming is too busy, so it is really not easy to meet each other. But for the next period of time, he probably has enough time. In addition, the thing promised to Isai seems to have to be fulfilled. There are really too many things to do every day, but it doesn't matter, take your time one by one. Shaking his head lightly, Li Yiming simply prepared some food. The only thing he wanted to do right now was to have a good meal as he was already hungry. As for the rest, wait until the stomach is full. After gobbling, Li Yiming finally ate and drank enough, belched in satisfaction, cleaned up the mess on the table, and returned to his room. Excellent weapons and excellent light armor are lying quietly on the table. Reaching out to pick up the blade and the light armor, Li Yiming's eyes flickered with a faint strangeness. Not to mention, it's quite a sense of accomplishment to create this kind of equipment by myself. I can understand why Goddess Faith and Tsubaki are so enthusiastic about this kind of thing. This is not just a piece of equipment, it is also the countless painstaking efforts of the blacksmith, just like his own child. Then take this opportunity and let Goddess Faith give a good evaluation. As he spoke, Li Yiming put the light armor in the backpack, and at the same time inserted the black knife into the matching scabbard, then pinned it around his waist, and left the room straight away. Today's Oleli is rarely liberated from the red sun, and in the sky full of dark clouds, light rain drips down quickly. Li Yiming didn't pay attention to the slight rain, and didn't use his strength to cover it, but just sniffed the air with the fragrance of earth, walking on the street full of medieval flavor in Oleli. Even if it is raining, there are still businessmen on both sides of the road, some adventurers who are resting, and some gods who have nothing to do and come out to hang out on rainy days. As soon as the front foot stepped out of the station, Li Yiming immediately captured the weird atmosphere around him. Many adventurers and ordinary merchants looked at him, pointing their hands non-stop, and at the same time gathered together to discuss in a low voice. If it is an ordinary person, it may be difficult to hear any words clearly because of the noisy environment, but for Li Yiming, there is no concern in this regard. It has also become extremely clear at this moment. Is that guy supposed to be the monster rookie? The voice is a little softer. He is a high-level adventurer who can easily defeat Udeos. If we hear us talking about him casually, who knows if he will do anything. Indeed, he looks quite handsome, but he didn't expect to be so powerful. It's unbelievable. Really, as a LV.2 adventurer, it is too exaggerated to be able to defeat the LV.6 level Lone King of the Labyrinth. No one has ever been able to do such a thing. If he can really upgrade again, wouldn't it mean that he will become the strongest adventurer? I really want to see his true strength. There was a lot of dialogue going on and on. Li Yiming received all the words with a calm expression, a little surprised in his heart, but there was no slight change on the surface. Based on the voices of these people, he probably guessed something. It seems that I am too obsessed with forging, and actually handed over this matter to Faith, but at least now, it seems that no extreme situation has happened, and it should have been handled almost, but I don't know, there will be no tricks behind the scenes. After roughly collecting a wave of information, Li Yiming withdrew his knowledge and arrogance. For now, the situation is pretty good. Even though his strength is exposed, it seems that the gods are not too difficult, maybe because of his strength, or because Goddess Faith is too tough, making the gods afraid, but no matter which one, for it's a good thing for him. I just hope that I don't get into too many troubles in the future. As the drizzle fell, Li Yiming walked through the alley, ignoring the sight of his surroundings. He chose to change to a road without too many people, and it was also the road that needed to pass the slightly famous tavern, the Mistress of Abundance. What I never expected was that there seemed to be more people on this road. Because of the rainy day, the tavern is very lively today, even standing outside, you can hear the noise from inside, coupled with the large number of adventurers gathered outside the door. This caught Li Yiming a little off guard. I know that I should use the color of knowledge and domineering to probe again. Forget it, that's it. Shaking his head slightly, Li Yiming didn't want to waste any more effort. Mr. Li Yiming. Suddenly, the side door of the tavern opened suddenly, and a girl with short gray hair poked her head out, and directly stopped Li Yiming, who was galloping towards the Tower of Babel. Turning her head subconsciously, she saw a sweet-looking girl in a maid's outfit walking cautiously towards her. The girl's movements were very elegant, holding an umbrella in one hand, and holding her own skirt in the other hand. Ran up to him. "That's great, Mr. Li Yiming, I almost missed it." Looking at the girl with a happy and surprised expression in front of her, Li Yiming's pupils shrank slightly, and then quickly returned to normal. "I was thinking about this just now, have I already made a move? The speed is really fast." Li Yiming's thoughts kept changing. He looked up and down the eyes of the girl in front of him, and then smiled politely. "So it's Miss 11ER, what's the matter with calling me suddenly? It's raining now, if you accidentally catch a cold, but it's not so good. What's more, if you let Miss Sierra's admirers know about this, they will definitely not let me go, so you'd better go back to the tavern to shelter from the rain." Very reasonable words, revealing the politeness among friends. "That. May I ask, Mr. Li Yiming, are you going to the underground city?" Seemingly unaware of Li Yiming's alienation, Sierra showed a sweet smile as always. Not to mention, the girl's slightly flushed cheeks, coupled with her soft voice, and that delicate smile, all reveal the elegant charm of the girl in front of her. No wonder it can be admired by many adventurers. It doesn't make sense. This kind of gentle and considerate girl can often arouse a man's desire to protect. However, Li Yiming, who is very clear about the details of this girl in front of him, will naturally not be confused by this very purposeful behavior. Sociable, but now they come to the door quietly. He wanted to see what the other party wanted to do. "No, Miss 11ER, I didn't enter the dungeon, but went to the Tower of Babel to find my Lord Shang Shen, and I need to discuss some matters with her." "So you're going to find God, Faith? Then I won't hinder you, but please accept this." While speaking, 11ER directly delivered the things in her hands. It was a cloak. It was made of completely unknown material, and it was pink. Even at a distance, Li Yiming, who had keen five senses, could smell it. The escaping from the cloak was unique to girls. The fragrance seems to be Seal's personal property. Taste. "Did you come here to cover the rain with a cloak, and it was a gift of your own, in order to establish a deeper connection?" Li Yiming suddenly had a guess in his heart. It seems that Freya is really following her. He couldn't believe that without Freya's signal, Sierra would take the initiative to get close to him, and was willing to give away her personal belongings. This is undoubtedly a fantasy. What's more, the 11ER in front of her might be Melia herself. It's really troublesome, although I'm not afraid of Freya using force, but if she uses other means, such as deleting other people's memories, it will be more embarrassing. Annoying, being targeted by such a goddess is really not a good thing. It seems that the plan is going to change slightly. Li Yiming kept thinking in his heart, but he still didn't forget to respond on the surface. "Thank you very much, Miss Seal, you are really helpful, I will treasure this cloak well." Hearing this, Sierra immediately showed a bright smile, and her face became more and more rosy. "You're welcome, Mr. Li Yiming, I heard about you from other adventurers. If you have time, please come and sit in the tavern, please." "Ah, I remember, I will come when I have a chance in the future. Then I won't interfere with you, Mr. Li Yiming, and don't make God Faith wait in a hurry. Besides, just call me Sierra from now on. I look forward to your visit." After the words fell, 11ER quickly turned around and ran towards the tavern. Watching the girl return to the Madam Mistress of Abundance, Li Yiming's expression sank instantly, and his brows frowned involuntarily. "Let's ignore this matter for now. I hope that God of Beauty will not do anything outrageous, otherwise, even if it is risking being punished by the Adventurers Guild, or even being punished by all. I will not choose to sit and wait for the price of the judgment of the gods. Even though Freya is very beautiful, Li Yiming doesn't like this goddess. Just the other party's complicated and explosive experience makes people unable to accept it. Therefore, Li Yiming would not mind if it was just this kind of temptation and everyone lived in peace. After all, Sierra and Freya are one person, but they can also be said to be two people. It's okay to make friends with Seal, but Freya, forget it. This kind of goddess, he is a mere ordinary human being, but he is really unlucky to enjoy. Glancing at the cloak in his hand, Li Yiming no longer hesitated, and raised his hand to put it on his body. The 0.2 rainwater falling from the sky was completely covered outside, and the effect of blocking the rain was outstanding. Unexpectedly excellent. No more hesitation, turned around and accelerated towards the direction of the Tower of Babel. And in the place that Li Yiming didn't see, that is, the second floor of the Mistress of Abundance, in the darkness, a girl with a delicate face quietly revealed a beautiful smile. Trotting all the way, the Tower of Babel was enlarged in a short while. To be honest, Li Yiming has been in Ollali for a long time, but he really hasn't visited this most iconic building, and this is his first time climbing the Tower of Babel. Although he had never been there before, under the guidance of knowledgeable and domineering, he was still able to reach the destination easily. It was at this time today that Li Yiming realized how rich and powerful the He Faith family is. There are several floors of shops belonging to the family, which is really too deep. Many adventurers wandered around these floors, choosing their favorite weapons and equipment by the way. However, compared with He Faith's weapon shop on Adventurer Avenue, the weapon shop in the Tower of Babel is obviously more luxurious, and the weapons and armor on the shelves are also more luxurious. Sophisticated, suitable for almost every level from the first level adventurers to the lower level adventurers. But at this price, it is a little too scary. Generally speaking, if you want to buy a fairly good weapon, you need at least tens of millions of mana to start, which is completely a burden for ordinary adventurers. After learning about this situation, Li Yiming was also very grateful. Fortunately, he successfully joined the Faith family of Faith, otherwise, he might be secretly worrying about obtaining powerful weapons and equipment now. Thinking about the rabbit in the original book, it is too miserable to be directly in debt of 200 million fair. P.S. I only go home at night, I don't have enough time, I will resume tomorrow. Chapter 125 Approval from the Goddess. The Goddess who is ashamed and angry. Thanks to Wangi. For the monthly pass. The Tower of Babel, in the weapons store of the He Faith Tas Familia. Master Shang Shen, I finally found you, and the leader is here too. Led by the members of the Faith's family, Li Yiming arrived at the room of the Goddess of Faith without any doubts on the faces of the guides. They have never met Li Yiming, but they have heard rumors from the outside world. It's just that I didn't expect that my lord Shang Shen would recruit such an outstanding child, and he seemed to be a blacksmith, so it wasn't particularly strange. Oh, it's you Wu, you're finally here. Faith, who was talking to Tsubaki, raised her head, a faint joy flashed on her delicate cheeks, and then quickly disappeared, turning into a gentle smile. The red-haired goddess glanced back and forth over her child's body, and instantly discovered the situation on the other side's body. Goddess Faith and Tsubaki immediately understood the weapon wrapped in white cloth, and the piece of armor that was stuffed in the backpack, but a corner was exposed because of the haste. For a moment, there was a faint expectation on the face of each person and one god. So have you succeeded? Then the purpose of your coming here today is. That's right, Li Yiming nodded with a smile, with an indescribable confidence on his face. Actually, the forging was completed yesterday, but because I was too tired, I only took a nap. Come here today. I want Lord Shang Shen to help me take a look. Look, this is my newly forged weapon, and I haven't named it yet. With unconcealable confidence, Li Yiming reached out and took off the blade at his waist, and pushed it to the red-haired goddess in front of him. The white cloth slipped off in an instant, revealing a long black knife in the room. Even if it was just a glance, the eyes of He-Faith and Tsubaki suddenly flashed. The red-haired goddess who took the weapon narrowed her left eye, which was not covered by the eye patch, and Tsubaki who was beside her also stepped forward, scanning every corner of the sword back and forth. For blacksmiths, this moment is definitely the most tense. After all, this is for the god in charge of forging to evaluate the weapons he has created from the highest level. Even though Li Yiming did not plan to rely on forging for a living, he couldn't help becoming a little nervous, but 19 is still calm standing in place. You know, there are not too few artisan gods in Orario. It is known that besides the goddess He-Faith, there are also male gods headed by gubernius. Although the artisan family is fiercely competitive, the relationship between the gods is still very good. And as the children of these master craftsmen, they will naturally be affected by the speeches of the gods. If you are approved by the gods, you will feel joy, and if you are denied by the gods, you will also feel sorrow, and it can even be said to be despair. In fact, such things do not happen very often. It is not unheard of in the past. After being recognized, the blacksmith was stimulated because he was too happy, and as a result became crazy, which led to things that could no longer hold the hammer. The same is true after being denied. Therefore, after many such incidents, the gods also changed. In order to prevent the child I like from being unable to bear the blow, I made some wording to make the final result easier to accept. If it was placed in the previous life, this would probably be chicken soup for the soul. Li Yiming stood in place, waiting for the final answer from Goddess Hidos. After a while, there was finally another sound in the silent room. The red-haired goddess gently raised her hand, stroked the knife handle all the way down, and her nails also ran along the blade. Buzz. For a moment, the black long knife in front of him suddenly buzzed. The dark surface is like a mirror, slightly reflecting the face of Goddess Faith. This long knife is truly masculine and beautiful. As expected of a blade made from the black sword of Udaos. So, Lord Shangshen, what is the final verdict? As if expecting something, Tsubaki spoke softly, and the words drove the passage of time. After a brief silence, Herdos, who is at the highest level, showed a little hesitation, and then slowly said, I am really surprised that this precious material can be made by only one person. You know, last time the Gubernius family dispatched all the senior blacksmiths to complete the production, it is already very good. Yiming, you really surprised me. The goddess of forging didn't hold back her praise at all, and a stream of light gleamed in her eyes. Tsubaki, who was on the sidelines, also showed a complacent expression, but she didn't have the slightest envy or jealousy. After all, as the strongest blacksmith of Olelai, she can also do this kind of thing alone. What's more, Li Yiming's first forging was introduced by him. Therefore, what she feels more at the moment is the gratification for Li Yiming's growth, or there are more. Tsubaki has been a part of He-Faith's family for many years, and he is very familiar with the temperament of his own god, so he naturally knows what the evaluation of excellent means, and then he thinks about what happened in the Northwest Avenue branch not long ago. As a result, an unscrupulous smile appeared on her face instantly. Master Shangshen, since this is the case, does that mean, he? The words were not finished yet, but the smirk on Tsubaki's face already explained everything. He-Faith naturally understood what the other party meant. Eyelids. Hey, even though I said that, there are still a lot of things that are a little immature, but I can do this step, a little bit of recognition for you. It's not impossible. At this time, the red-haired goddess was not as forthright as usual, and she spoke in a nonchalant tone uncharacteristically, beating around the bush. Her gaze didn't even fall on Li Yiming. And as the words progressed layer by layer, the blush on her Faith's cheeks became thicker and thicker. Chun, who was watching the excitement, suddenly showed an anti-smile, squinted his eyes and didn't know what he was thinking, and kept scanning Ji Shiming and Chu Jiashangshan. Immediately afterwards, he showed a teasing smile again. Goddess Faith, who noticed this, immediately glared at her with blushing cheeks, but Tsubaki, who had already released herself, would naturally not be afraid, and did not change at all. Seeing this, Faith could only ignore this guy who just watched the excitement and didn't think it was a big deal. Taking a sneak peek at Li Yiming, the latter has gentle eyes and a faint smile on his face, which made Faith suddenly make up his mind and opened his mouth to continue to say something. Yiming, you have my approval, according to the agreement, I decide. Please wait a moment, Lord Shangshen. Before Faith's words were fully spoken, Li Yiming stretched out his right hand directly to cover the red lips of the red-haired goddess, and at the same time was trembling by the warm touch. You. Goddess Faith has rosy eyes, and her heart is also trembling. Li Yiming, who came back to his senses, immediately let go of his right hand. Facing the reproachful expression of his Lord God, he couldn't help scratching his head in embarrassment. Sorry, Lord Shangshen, I didn't mean it. What did you want to say just now? Even after apologizing, her Faith did not intend to forgive Li Yiming. She managed to pluck up the courage and planned to take the initiative to fulfill the promise, but was stopped by her own children, which immediately made the red-haired goddess angry and ashamed, staring at the boy in front of her with hatred. If the other party does not give her a reasonable explanation, then the consequences will be very serious. That's right, Lord God. Li Yiming took a deep breath, and his expression also became serious. Although we once had an agreement, as long as we can create a piece of equipment approved by you, we can associate with you. I am also looking forward to this kind of thing. After all, I admire you very much, Lord God. But, at least for now, I can't promise this thing. Why? Hearing these words, the anger and shame on Goddess Faith's face disappeared, and she completely turned into indifference. If she didn't understand Li Yiming's character, she would have become cold and angry when she was rejected so blatantly. Medium burn. Even Chun, who was watching the show, didn't expect the situation to change at all, and began to wink at Li Yiming frantically. However, the latter seemed to have not seen it, and his expression was as firm as ever. Actually, I came today not only to hand over the manufactured weapons to Lord Shangshen for inspection, but also to ask for resignation. There is a very dangerous thing that needs to be done by me. Even now, I still have no way to guarantee myself it's safe, and I don't know if I can come back, so. Because of this kind of thing. After the voice fell, the expression of the goddess Zisto looked a lot better. Since it was not to tease her, but for other reasons, there was no need to make the relationship so rigid, and the red-haired goddess couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. So, have you gained the power to go to other different worlds again? Just like Connie and the others' world, there are powerful enemies in it, and you can't even defeat them. So that's the case? Yiming, is Lord Shangshen right? Tsubaki was surprised when he heard this. Li Yiming was also a little surprised when he saw that his Lord Shangshen explained his thoughts in a few words, but he didn't hide it, but nodded slightly. That's right, I did gain the power to travel to another world. There are powerful humans in that world, and the strongest humans are even more powerful than Oleli's most powerful adventurer. One of them is the ruler of the world. I am sure I can defeat her, but there is no certainty that he will be able to survive successfully. Can't we not go? It's also a good choice to stay in Oleli honestly. Hearing that the situation was so serious, Tsubaki was also lost in thought, and then came up with such a good solution. However, Li Yiming shook his head lightly. It's really safe not to go, but it doesn't work once and for all, and I don't want to be just an adventurer forever. After 100 years, the different world has all kinds of magic, maybe I can find a way to live forever in it, so to live forever. When he said this, Li Yiming subconsciously glanced at Faith. The red-haired goddess heard the deep meaning in his words, and at the same time did not catch any signs of lying. The shame of being rejected just now dissipated most of it, but she still felt a little dissatisfied in her heart. However, she is also very clear that she has no way to prevent Li Yiming from going to another world. In fact, the love between gods and humans has never been favored. The gap between the two is really too big. Even the elves, in terms of lifespan, are far less than the gods. In case the lifespan goes by, one side still looks not old, while the other side just. Being able to die in old age is really hard to accept. It's not that the gods haven't pursued something that can make human beings live forever, but they have sealed their divine power. Even Mihi and Dean Kate, who are gods of medicine, can't make it out of existing materials. That kind of thing comes. But now, the emergence of another world has made the situation more likely. Thinking in this way, Faith has no reason to stop it. The room became extremely silent again. When are you going to leave? Finally, Faith's voice sounded again. Li Yiming suddenly noticed that the expression of his Lord Shangshen became very serious. He hesitated immediately, and responded softly, "Let's go right away, my strength has almost increased." At the bottleneck stage, it is very difficult to obtain Wi. Even if you successfully obtain an upgrade in the dungeon, you can't get too much strength increase, so it's better to go to a different world. Have a try in the interview, maybe there will be a perfect solution. I see, just wait for a while. What Faith Ta said was a little unpredictable. She turned around and went to the bookshelf at the side, gently took out a book inside, and the bookshelf split from the middle in an instant, and the layout of this room was exactly the same as that of the branch store. A huge portal was exposed. Walking inside, there was an 870 forging room. "My lord, this is you?" Li Yiming asked with some doubts, but Chun, who was on the side, had a slight guess, grabbed his arm, and shook his head with a serious expression. This made him even more suspicious. "Come in with me." After leaving such a sentence, Faith walked into the forging room first. Seeing this, Li Yiming had the opportunity to ask Chun at the side, "Leader, Lord Shangshen, what does this mean?" "Don't ask, I really don't know why your kid is so loved and honored so much. Hurry up and follow up, read more and learn more, not everyone has such an honor. This is an opportunity to witness the forging of Lord Shangshen, and learn as much as you can." After speaking, Chun patted Li Yiming's chest, and then walked in quickly. Hearing this, no matter how stupid people are, they probably know what will happen next. Li Yiming showed a complicated face, and then without any hesitation, he walked quickly into the forging room, only to see her Faith standing behind the forging table. This forging room is not considered gorgeous. In fact, her Faith is not a god who values these things. As soon as she enters it, the temperature rises instantly. The flame is still burning, and there is a pool not far away, which is obviously used for quenching. All kinds of tools are currently placed on the forging table. Sure enough, here is a perfect explanation of what is meant by high-end materials often only need the simplest forging method. "Yiming, you have been in the family for so long, I don't seem to have taught you the skills of forging. Today is just a chance, so I will teach you well." At some point, a piece of metal appeared on her Faith's hand. This piece of metal didn't emit any luster, it was a black piece, very inconspicuous. "But this unremarkable piece of metal in front of me is heavier and harder than iron, and at the same time has extremely strong toughness. It is black gold specially used to make heavy weapons. Only high-level blacksmiths have enough forging proficiency to make full use of it. Not only that, there are also a lot of iron blocks on the forging table. 011811019 Filu 23434 Just before Faith was about to make a move, she suddenly thought of something, raised her head and asked, "Yiming, what kind of weapon do you want, or a long knife?" Hearing the question, Li Yiming understood clearly. Sure enough, Faith was trying to forge equipment for him, that's why he spent so much trouble, and he also found a high-sounding reason. It's such a wonderful feeling to be cared about. However, why he chose to forge weapons instead of forging armor made him a little confused, but he didn't choose to ask, but responded with a serious face. "No need, Lord Shangshen, with this long knife, it is enough for the time being. But since it is a gift from Lord Shangshen, if possible, I would like a spear." "A long gun? I see, you and Tsubaki should watch carefully." After leaving such a sentence, Faith didn't hesitate any longer, and immediately started to act. Oh. Chapter 126 Not Bad Attributes. Faith Tuo Si Gun. Thanks for the monthly pass of Subaru-san. In the forging room, Faith already had a decision in mind. I saw that she picked up a red gemstone on the table and threw it into the stove. Originally, the fire was only kept alive, but it seemed to be stimulated, and it started to burn blazingly in an instant. The rising flame instantly dyed the entire forging room red. Even the mighty Li Yiming was sweating profusely at this moment. Damn, this effect is too good. Of course, this is the flame stone produced on the deep monster of the dungeon, the flame magic rock. After processing, it becomes an ignition agent, which can instantly release high temperature. For blacksmiths like us, it can be said to be a very convenient tool. But because the effect is too overbearing, not many people use it. Tsubaki explained softly at the side. Hearing this, many memory pictures also appeared in Li Yiming's mind. He really didn't think of this thing. If he knew about it earlier, he didn't need to use a lot of burning materials to ensure the temperature of the furnace when forging. I'll tell you these things slowly in the future. Don't talk for now, and watch the next move of Lord Shangshen carefully. She is a blacksmith who has set foot in the highest realm. Usually, she seldom makes a move in person. Even if she does, it is very difficult. Few people are able to observe from the side. Your face is really great. While speaking, Hess had already started to move. With the help of the flamestone, the temperature in the furnace rose instantly, and the red-haired goddess put the black gold in her hand together with the rest of the metal, and they were calcined by the flames together. During this period, Faith has not forgotten to take out some other materials. Li Yiming glanced at it, and found that almost all of them were precious dropped items from the dungeon. It could be seen that the weapons that his Lord Shangshen was about to manufacture were not extraordinary items, they were definitely costly. The flames continued to burn, and the impurities of the dropped objects began to fall off, and the black gold gradually softened. The iron block had already melted into molten iron like syrup, which turned red under the high temperature. After being instructed, Yiming dared not go through any steps at all. After all, this is the personal guidance of the god of forging, so he must take good care of it. The sun hanging high in the sky gradually began to move. The Tower of Babel, the forge room of the Faith Toth Familia Arms Shop. Goddess Faith held the hammer tightly in her right hand, took a deep breath, and then pursed her lips lightly. The scarlet left eye seemed to be shining with a dazzling red light. She obviously had no divine power, but her body was still full of majesty and momentum. The right hand holding the hammer was raised high, and then slammed down hard. Clang! The flames splashed and the heat wave was monstrous. The crisp impact sound seemed to send out a signal, and then harsh sounds resounded in the entire forging room one after another, one after another, one after another. Clang! 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 Every time the hammer falls, there will be a similar knocking sound. Until this moment, Li Yiming didn't know why Faith in front of her was called the god of forging, and why she really set foot in the highest field of forging. It is obvious that each knock is completely different, but the energy contained in it is exactly the same. No matter how many times you hit it, it is a blow with full concentration, whether it is strength or spirit, there is no mess at all, and the same movement is continued in an orderly manner. This terrible forging state made Li Yiming's eyes widen. In this way, under the gaze of the red metal, obvious changes gradually occurred. With the scorching heat and strenuous exercise, sweat flowed down her Faith's cheeks and forehead, and even her body began to sweat, soaking her pure white shirt. So, Li Yiming's sight began to shift involuntarily. Snapped. What are you looking at, kid? Pay attention to what I should pay attention to. Chun vigorously slapped Li Yiming awake, and he was relieved when he saw that Faith didn't notice his actions, and quickly focused on the forging process again. Time passed quickly. Before you know it, the moon is already hanging high, and the entire sky has dimmed. The Tower of Babel, which was very lively during the day, was almost empty at this time. The weapon shop closed early, and the staff in charge of watching the shop also returned to rest in their rooms, but it only belonged to the forging room of Goddess Faith. At this time, the lights are still brightly lit. Clang, 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 clang. The very regular forging sound kept ringing, echoing throughout the forging room. This forging process lasted for 3 full days. Call. When the last hammer was struck heavily, her Faith picked up the red spear with pliers, and quickly put it into the quenching pool. A large amount of steam lingered instantly, and the spear began to cool down rapidly. Materials produced in the dungeon should also be added to the quenching pool, so it can have this speed. I haven't been so tired for a long time. Exhaling a breath slowly, Faith couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Without the use of divine power, this is almost the limit that forging can achieve. The materials used are very precious, which Li Yiming cannot afford now. However, her Faith has borne such expenses on her own. In other words, it is the part of the filly earned by the children of the family that is used to support her, coupled with the all-out effort. This long spear is not so much a weapon as a divine tool, a fresh life. One day, a real life will be born. After all, her Faith's hair was added to it. The basic work has been completed, and the last step is left. With deep exhaustion in his smile, Faith took the spear out of the quenching pool with a clip, and a spear with complex patterns on its body gradually surfaced. Due to the addition of black gold, the entire body of the gun is dark red, about 4.5 meters in length, with complex patterns and many raised areas. This is not a forging failure, but to increase friction and deliberately create this appearance. The tip of the gun has an elegant curvature, well-proportioned shape, and dense lines, as if printed with words. Under the raging flames, this long spear shone red, and the sharp blade showed a terrifying edge. Just by looking at it, one would feel that it was very clever. After testing the temperature for a while, Faith walked up to the gun head and suddenly reached out to hold it. Even though the sharp blade hadn't been sharpened yet, it still easily pierced her Faith's palm, leaving scarlet blood on the spearhead instantly. In an instant, the originally dark body of the gun began to glow with blue light. The pattern on the tip of the gun is like words, the glow is flowing. It is not particularly dazzling, but just by looking at it, it gives people a very mysterious feeling. Soon, the patterns shining with blue light disappeared, and the spear returned to its inconspicuous appearance again. In this case, even if it is completely completed, do you want to try it? Faith let go of her palm and asked Li Yiming with a smile. My lord. Faith's series of actions made Li Yiming not know what to say. Looking at the slightly tired face of the red-haired goddess, he went straight forward, took out a bottle of healing potion from his pocket, and poured it on the injured palm of the other party. Accompanied by a slight tingling pain, it was originally cut out by the spear. The injury was restored to its original state in an instant. Immediately afterwards, Li Yiming reached out and took Goddess Hedo into his arms. The red-haired goddess' smile instantly froze on her face. Her body was slightly stiff, but she quickly relaxed, and she also put her arms around Li Yiming's waist. "Thank you, Lord God." "No, who made you my favorite child?" Feeling the temperature surrounding her, Faith felt that several days of hard work had paid off, and the mental fatigue seemed to be worth it at this moment. After a while, her faith struggled slightly, and Li Yiming subconsciously let her go. "Okay, let's try it first." Li Yiming picked up the spear from the forging platform, and the moment he started to hold it, he felt a slight temperature. The residual heat of forging had not completely dissipated, so he lifted it up forcefully, and all the weight was instantly pressed on his palm. It's not clear exactly how heavy it is, but it's definitely not light. At least, the weight of hundreds of caddies is still there. Even if it is the first time to hold this spear, there is no strange feeling at all. It's like holding the palm of the goddess Faith. Li Yiming's line of sight fell on the scrap iron left on the side, and the long spear in his hand instantly turned around, barely exerting much force, only heard a crisp sound, and the tip of the gun directly pierced through the scrap iron. Its special ability is not bad, and its durability is very high, but it still needs regular maintenance. In addition, because of the addition of my blood, this gun can grow with the growth of the user. Basically, for me, how does it feel to be able to follow your progress in becoming stronger? Thank you, Lord Shangshen, I like this gift very much. There was a burst of residual warmth from the right hand, and a faint smile appeared on Li Yiming's face. He really likes this weapon, not because of its uniqueness, but because it was given to him by Faith. As long as you like it, give this child a name. Looking at the handle in front of her, which could be called the best weapon of Oleli in the future, Faith's face was full of satisfaction, and at the same time, there was an eagerness to try on her tired cheeks. Hearing this, Li Yiming looked clear, and raised the long spear in his hand. The light of the magic stone lamp instantly reflected on the spear, and then emitted bursts of cold light. The name, then call her Faith's spear. Hey, this is too casual. Tsubaki, who had been silent for a long time, immediately let out a helpless sound of complaints after hearing the name. On the other hand, Faith, with surprise in her eyes, also showed a satisfied smile, and asked, "Are you sure you want to use this name?" "Of course, this is a gift from you, Lord Shangshen, so I must name it after you, besides." Speaking of this, Li Yiming suddenly raised the long spear in his hand, then held the head of the gun, and swiped with his left hand. The bright red blood seeped into the blade of the gun, and a feeling of blood connection suddenly arose in his heart, and he even felt a heart from Faith. So far, this long gun has been officially completed. So you are really reckless enough. In the room, Ji Yiming was wiping his wounds with healing potion. Chun on the side suddenly showed a sulky expression, and looked helplessly at the one person in front of him. Even if you have to use blood to cut the blade, you should pay attention to it anyway, although I admit that your movements are very handsome, but the treatment afterward is really embarrassing. He, isn't that just when the atmosphere is here, it won't happen next time. Plum. Ming smiled awkwardly and scratched his head in embarrassment. It's not that he wants to do that, mainly because he thinks this method is more handsome. If it is replaced by needles or something, it would be too cheap. Now it looks like it's not bad. Okay, Tsubaki, you don't need to be so entangled in some small things. Faith Toss interrupted Tsubaki's complaints, and then his eyes fell on Li Yiming, who was on the side, with a sudden expression. Become serious, Yiming, are you going to another world now? Don't you need to take a good rest for a few days? Hearing this, Li Yiming froze immediately. After a while, the scars on his hands had been healed by the healing potion. He moved his palm slightly, but without any pain. He slowly raised his head. No need, Lord Shangshen, I am very energetic now. Besides, continuing to delay will have no effect at all. It would be better to go to another world earlier and find some specific solutions. Don't worry, even if it's for you, for the leader, and for the entire Heto's family, I will come back alive, I promise. The previous worries were swept away, and Li Yiming's eyes were full of unspeakable firmness. No matter what method is used, he must come back alive. Because Oleli has someone he cares about. Since you have made a decision, then I will not persuade you anymore. I only have one sentence: I must come back alive. Zhuang and I, as well as Connie and Shinobu, will all be with you. The family is waiting for your safe return. The voice was very flat, but still affectionate. Li Yiming nodded solemnly, and then, in the sight of Goddess Faith Hitos and Chun, took out the light armor made by himself, and put it on quickly. Wow, so handsome. Looking at Li Yiming in front of him, Chun subconsciously made a sound. With short black hair, a handsome face, and the prototype of King Arthur's armor, Li Yiming has completely turned into a beautiful boy at this time. Obviously, the mole of love has not been activated, but it still subconsciously fascinates Tsubaki and He Faith. Master Shang Shen, head, I'll go first, and I'll be back in an hour at most. I won't keep you waiting for too long. Why don't you go to sleep first, and you can probably watch it tomorrow morning. See a hole me. Well, be safe. Her Faith reminded softly. That's right, Yiming, you want, Zhao's, to come back safely. You are the only one who can go to another world. You promised me that you would take me to see the other world. The world is wonderful. If I break my promise, I will not let you go, do you hear me? Tsubaki also spoke words that fit her personality. The two closest people and gods made Li Yiming's heart warm for an instant, and he almost had the idea of not letting go, but in the end he managed to suppress the throbbing in his heart. Finally, he smiled, and held the Her Faith spear and the unnamed long knife in his hands, thinking about it. System, start the real-life crossing simulation. Ding, after receiving the host's order, the real-life crossing simulation starts, and the talent is being randomized. Ding, the talent will be successful immediately. Please choose one of the following talents as the initial talent: purple talent Fuxing, blue talent Ascetic, golden talent Me and Death Peers. Purple talent Luck, you are the little guy who was kissed by the goddess of luck, and your luck is always so good that you are enviable. Blue talent Ascetic Monk, you will encounter countless tribulations, but your willpower will be enhanced. Golden talent I Walk with Death, you are the god of death, and you will always be accompanied by death. Wherever you go, you will always be accompanied by death, whether it is an enemy, a stranger or be friends, will be affected. Even yourself will die in this situation. Good guy, you actually made a gold withdrawal, but why does this gold feel so anti-father? Looking at the three talents, the quality is almost better than that encountered in previous simulations, and it is the first gold, but the problem is that there are two talents that are really cheating. One is to make trouble for oneself, and the other is to become a god of death. Who knows if he will kill himself? It is completely useless. It is impossible to choose the golden talent, and then use the probability to kill everyone in the pirate world, because fruity, right? Tisk, fortunately there is another fork that is useful. It seems that there is no other choice. After Li Yiming complained a few words, he decisively chose the purple talent Lucky. Chapter 127 Real Lifetime Travel Simulation. A secret that cannot be hidden. Monthly ticket plus subscription required. Purple talent Lucky choice is successful, and the real lifetime travel simulation is starting. The sound of the system sounded quietly. Taking advantage of the last period of time, Li Yiming quickly raised his head, took one last look at Hertos and Chun, and then quietly waited for the start of the real lifetime travel simulation. However, before the familiar feeling hit, a gust of fragrant wind came suddenly. He didn't feel any danger, so Li Yiming didn't dodge, and before he figured out what was going on, he felt a warm touch. His eyes widened suddenly, and a pair of beautiful red eyes instantly entered the distance between the eyelids. At this time, ding, the talent selection is successful, and the real-life time travel simulation officially begins. The voice in his mind sounded again, and the next moment, the figures of Li Yiming and He Faith disappeared in the same place, which made Chun, who was standing by the side, stunned. This means, has Lord Shangshen been taken there too? Chun's expression suddenly became very strange, and then he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that there is no need to worry about the safety of that boy Yiming. With the presence of God, and there is no prohibition against using divine power in another world, he should be able to return safely. However, Lord Shangshen is really bold enough. I really don't care about my presence at the scene. If I knew it could be like this, I rushed over to hug Yiming. It's a pity, but since it's like this, if so, I'd better go back to sleep honestly. Lazily stretching his back, Tsubaki left the room straight away. Li Yiming, who has already experienced the familiar world spinning, didn't feel uncomfortable, but the dark vision made people feel a little uncomfortable. Not only that, but even knowledgeable domineering has lost its effect at this time. After a simple attempt, he still couldn't figure out the surrounding situation, so Li Yiming didn't insist anymore, enduring a little discomfort, waiting for the end of the crossing process. Soon, everything has completely stabilized. Li Yiming is very calm, having the first real-life time travel simulation experience. He is naturally very clear that he will still appear on the beach of Zheji village in Seymour this time, so he has no worries at all. Slowly opened his eyes, but the picture in front of him made his pupils shrink slightly. What? Are you surprised to see me? He saw Goddess Faith with reddish cheeks standing in front of him. Her eyes were also full of surprise, but more of them were ridicule and joy. This scene immediately made Li Yiming a little overwhelmed. He subconsciously asked, Master Shangshen, why did you come out of 030 and come here? This is what I want to ask. Originally, I just planned to say goodbye to you and give you some strength by the way, but I didn't expect that there would be an irresistible force that would suddenly envelope you, and I would also be enveloped in it. Appeared here. So, did I also get brought to another world? Her Faith had a slight smile on her face, and her expression was full of indescribable joy. Originally Li Yiming said that he has not yet fully grasped this power, so he cannot take other people to another world, but now it seems that this is not the case. Even if it was an accident, at least this accident is a good thing. This is indeed a different world, but I am the only one who can come here, but I never thought that I would bring you, Lord Shangshen, too. This is too strange. After a brief surprise, Li Yiming scratched his head, completely unable to understand what was going on. After all, so far, he has not figured out all the functions of the system in his body. It is not very unusual for it to suddenly lose its effect, or become another system. So, it seems reasonable to be able to take other people on a real-life time travel simulation? Hell! Li Yiming no longer knows how to describe the current situation. On the other hand, Goddess Faith, with a calm face at this moment, patted him on the shoulder lightly, and said, Don't think too much, Yiming, since I have come here, it is naturally a good thing. Didn't you say that there is a powerful enemy who is not sure of surviving? Don't worry about it now, as long as you hand over that person to me, I will help you deal with it. In fact, this is what Goddess Faith has long wanted to do. Hearing this sentence, Li Yiming was slightly taken aback. Even if Goddess Faith, who is more proficient in forging, can use divine power, it is definitely not something humans like Pirate World can resist. After all, the so-called gods are gods, that is, they have powerful areas of force. The boundary between humans and gods is not as easy to cross as imagined. If Goddess Hetos is really allowed to make a move, there is really no possibility of self-exploding the devil fruit tree. However, Li Yiming is not sure if his master Shang Shen makes a move, will it affect the final evaluation. If the impact caused by Goddess Faith's action is not counted in his evaluation criteria, I'm afraid it will be too late to cry. So, unless you have to, it's best not to. Master Shang Shen, although I don't know how you came to this world with me, but since you came, it is naturally a good thing, but during this period, unless it is an enemy that I cannot deal with, under other circumstances, I wish I could figure it out myself. Perhaps, the great achievements I need can be obtained in this different world, and there are many strong people in this world, and there are many people with extraordinary talents. Maybe you can include them in your family, Lord Shang Shen. Li Yiming's sincere plea made Faith slightly taken aback. Then the red-haired goddess chuckled and nodded in understanding. If this is Yiming's request from you, then I agree and treat it as a trip. You can handle everything during the period. I'm only responsible for ensuring your safety. Is that okay? Thank you for your understanding, Lord God. Hearing this, Li Yiming immediately thanked him gratefully. Humph, Goddess Hedo suddenly snorted coldly, let's wait until we return to Olali to talk about these words, let's get down to business now. Okay, Lord God. Li Yiming nodded quickly, and then looked around. Master Frost Moon, just over there, a man and a woman suddenly appeared on the beach, without any warning at all. It's frightening to death. I just don't know if it's a sea worker. Yeah, I don't feel like an ordinary person. Bursts of noisy discussions came to the ears one after another, and Li Yiming also noticed the crowd coming from a distance. The leader was Koshiro Shimatsuki, who was wearing glasses. At this time, this unattractive dojo master still had a gentle smile, and his eyes were tightly squinted, making it impossible to see his specific thoughts. However, Li Yiming suddenly noticed the domineering attack of knowledgeable S**X. He suddenly showed a faint smile. Let's go, Lord Shang Shen, since we've come to this world, it's better to get in touch with the aborigines of this world, and you can also learn about the basic situation of this world by the way. Faith nodded slightly, and then slowly walked towards the crowd. Soon, they met Shimatsuki Koshiro and the others head-on in the middle of the road. At this moment, the calmness on Shimoyong Koshiro's face has completely disappeared without a trace. Because he was surprised to find that his knowledgeable domineering unexpectedly failed to capture any situation of the two people in front of him. Apart from being able to know their existence, there is no way to know the rest of the things, whether it is breath or other things. It was as weird as if there were no signs of life at all. This made Koshiro Shimatsuki, who had never seen such a situation, involuntarily showed vigilance at this time. He stopped, stretched out his hand to stop the villagers of Zimo's Hiji village behind him, tried to keep calm and said, "Everyone, let me handle this, you go back first." While speaking, Koshiro Shimatsuki kept his eyes on Li Yiming and Faith, paying attention to their every move. Seeing that neither of them seemed to have malicious intentions, they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The villagers didn't notice Koshiro Shimatsuki's strangeness. After hearing this sentence, they nodded one after another, and then left the place directly. For a while, there were only two people left on the beach. Without the interference from other people, Koshiro Shimatsuki's expression returned to seriousness. "Who are you two? What's the matter when you come to Seymour Shiki village? If you are pirates, then you should leave here as soon as possible. Seymour's Hiji village is just a small village, and the life of the villagers is not easy. They are all poor people, and they don't have the emperor's treasure that you want." As soon as these words, BJFG, came out, Faith frowned immediately. As a goddess of forging, being treated as a thief by human beings, this feeling is really not particularly wonderful. Fortunately, her Faith didn't want to argue with Koshiro Shimatsuki. she could see that the power of the middle-aged man in front of her was definitely not weaker than that of Olele's adventurer, especially the one who suddenly swept past spiritual power is even more miraculous. Ever since, the red-haired goddess became more and more curious about this world. Master Frost Moon, don't be so nervous. I think you must have misunderstood. We are not pirates, but just two passers-by. In fact, I am a swordsman. I heard about Yuxin Dojo from other places. The Lord is Yiming's powerful swordsman, that's why I came to Simo's Hiji village just now, just wanting to compete with you. Seeing that Faith did not respond, Li Yiming took the initiative to step forward and responded with a smile. So that's how it is, are you here to learn from each other? Hearing this, Koshiro Shimatsuki couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief, but his vigilance in his heart was still not relaxed, but at least his superficial attitude had changed significantly. As for what he thinks in his heart, maybe only he knows. Actually, I'm just an ordinary kendo gymnasium owner, with meager swordsmanship, I'm just eating for a living, I can't take it seriously. Master Frost Moon is very polite. If a swordsman like you has only minimal swordsmanship, then other swordsmen may not be worth mentioning. So if you don't mind the master, you might as well learn from me and learn from each other. What do you think about exchanging kendo experience? Li Yiming revealed his own strength in one word. Koshiro Shimatsuki froze slightly, and then sighed softly. Probably because of the swordsmanship he has learned, Koshiro Shimatsuki doesn't like to fight, and he seems to lack the vigor that a swordsman should have, but this does not mean that he is not strong. In the final analysis, it is just that the genres are different, but the same goal by different routes. Since you are kindly invited, sir, I will naturally do my best, please follow me. Then thank you, Master Frost Moon, please. After receiving Koshiro Shimatsuki's approval, Li Yiming took Goddess Faith Hitos and followed Koshiro Shimatsuki towards the central area of Shimashiki village. Go. One person and one spirit hung far behind Koshiro Shimatsuki, walking unhurriedly. Along the way, he naturally passed many residential areas of villagers, and Faith also took this opportunity to get a panoramic view of the living conditions in this world. Such a simple environment, and it is still a wooden house, is a little unexpected. It can be seen that this world seems to be completely different from the world of Demon Slayer, Blade in terms of development. Yiming, that human doesn't seem to be that powerful. Even if you fight him, you still won't be able to gain considerable ability and great achievements. There is absolutely no need for this. Master Shang Shen, sometimes strength is not only about ability value, but combat experience is also very important. My swordsmanship can only be improved quickly through constant fighting, and fighting with powerful swordsmen is naturally the best way, even if it is with weaker swordsmen than me. Hearing Li Yiming's explanation, Faith nodded thoughtfully. But the next moment, the beautiful red-haired goddess showed a smile that was not a smile, and looked at Li Yiming aside playfully, staring at the latter for a while. Just when he was about to be unable to hold on anymore, Faith Toss said, I found that Yiming, you seem to be very familiar with these different worlds. This is the case in the old world, and it is also the case in this brand new different world. Why is that? For it. When asked about his own weakness, Li Yiming froze in place. He opened his mouth, wanting to explain, but when he thought of the gods being able to recognize lies, his words suddenly got stuck in his throat, unable to come up or go down. Taking a full view of his embarrassment, her Faith rarely showed a cheerful chuckle, and looked away. Think about it, when I return to Olele, I will wait for you to explain to me. As your main god and girlfriend, I should be qualified to know these things, right? Master Shang Shen, when did you become, well, no problem, I will explain clearly when I get back. 11. The words of the extremely straight man almost blurted out, but fortunately, Li Yiming's desire to survive made him stop. He quickly smiled flatteringly, and made a promise. Hearing this, Faith nodded contentedly, and involuntarily quickened his pace. Li Yiming at the side was in a very bitter mood. It seems that the things that have been concealed for so long cannot be concealed. Originally, the identities of people from other worlds have been revealed, but now it seems that more must be revealed. However, having a system is the bottom line, and it must not be revealed. Thinking of this, Li Yiming made a decision in his heart, and he must be more careful in the future. But, in front of this God who has lived for hundreds of millions of years, can he really do these things? One person and one God followed behind Shimatsuki Koshiro, and soon brought Yuxin dojo. At this time, many apprentices in the dojo were practicing swordsmanship. When seeing Shimatsuki Koshiro return, whether it is an apprentice or a teacher, they all put away their luggage respectfully towards the owner. At the same time, everyone looked at Li Yiming and Faith with curiosity. Li Yiming opened the transparent world and restrained his breath, and Faith also restrained his divinity, so everyone at the scene didn't feel the slightest difference, but felt that they were very, very handsome and beautiful. Other than that, I don't have much feeling. Everyone go ahead. Kuina, please make a pot of tea. Yes, owner. Everyone responded together, and one of the little girls with a pretty face nodded sensibly. Understood, Dad, I'll go right away. Well, thank you for your hard work. Koshiro Shimatsuki had a gentle smile on his face, then he turned his head to look at Li Yiming and Faith. You two guests, please come with me. I'm sorry to trouble you, Master of the Ominous Moon. Li Yiming himself felt a little embarrassed by being treated so seriously, but this kind of thought quickly disappeared completely, and he continued to follow Xuanjiao. Koshiro came to the backyard of Yuxin dojo. He had been here countless times in the previous simulations. However, when you come here in person, it is a completely different experience. Walking all the way to the center of the backyard, Shimatsuki Koshiro finally stopped and turned around slowly. At this moment, his aura also changed. Chapter 128 Girl Kuina. A new member of the family. Thanks to the monthly pass of my neighbor Totoro D. Mr. Li Yiming, Sister Faith, please drink tea. In the room of Yuxin dojo, Kuina was pushing 2 cups of steaming tea to her face with a respectful face, and the girl's eyes were shining with golden light. Especially when looking at Li Yiming, with deep admiration and longing. As a result, she has completely ignored Koshiro Shimatsuki, who was wrapped into rice dumplings at the moment. Seeing his beloved daughter courteous to the man who defeated him, no matter how gentle his temper was, Koshiro Shimatsuki still felt a little uncomfortable at this time, but when he raised his hand to say something, it instantly touched the nerves on his body. The wound hurt so much that he throbbed. Li Yiming, who had a panoramic view of all these, chuckled suddenly, but he didn't get too overconfident. The battle between him and Koshiro Shimatsuki didn't last too long, it was almost over in just a few moves, during which the latter even showed his full strength. However, the level gap cannot be bridged so simply. As a result, Koshiro Shimatsuki was chopped off. Although Li Yiming kept his hand and avoided his internal organs and bones, he still caused a lot of damage to the opponent. At least he would have to lie on the bed for a long time. However, this battle is not without success. The swordsmanship in Yuxin dojo can only teach the basics, and the rest depends on one word: enlightenment. Koshiro Shimatsuki will not teach specific sword moves to his disciples, but to cultivate your foundation first, and then at the right time, pass on the understanding of realm to you. As for what kind of gains you can get from it, that is only it depends on your own talent and understanding. Such a person is very suitable to be a teacher, but he is not suitable to be a teacher. This can be seen from what Shimatsuki Koshiro once said, that women cannot reach the peak of swordsmanship. After some discussions, Li Yiming found some merits in Koshiro Shimatsuki's swordsmanship, which is exactly what he needs right now. and the battle between them was completely seen by Kuina, who was hiding aside. It was also for this reason that this girl, who was usually only in love with swordsmanship, would show such earnestness at this time, even looking at Li Yiming with fiery emotions. "Your name is Gina, isn't it?" "Yes, Mr. Li Yiming." Suddenly being mentioned, Kuina, who was a little fascinated by watching, suddenly became very nervous, and hurriedly stood up from the ground, her expression slightly flustered. In any case, she is still just a 10-year-old daughter now. "Don't be so nervous, you look at me like this, do you have anything to say?" At being asked this question, Guyuna was obviously taken aback. The girl looked up and saw the very gentle and encouraging eyes, her heart was immediately inspired, and she gritted her teeth and said, "Yes, Li Yiming sir, I have a question for you." "Let's hear it." He already knew what Kuina wanted to ask, but Li Yiming pretended not to know what to ask. Hearing this, Kuina suddenly raised her head, with deep longing in her eyes. She said a little nervously, "You are a powerful swordsman, you must have seen many strong people, so I think, do you know that there are powerful female swordsmen in this sea? Is it true that women can't reach the pinnacle of swordsmanship? I have wanted to be a powerful swordsman since I was a child, and even become the world's #1 swordsman, but whether it is strength or endurance, they are far less powerful than men. Is this really the case?" 3 questions in a row blurted out from Kuina's mouth. The girl's voice seemed a little anxious, and her eyes became more and more anxious at this time. It seems to be afraid of hearing the unwanted answer from Li Yiming's mouth. If even such a powerful swordsman is willing to admit her father's theory, there is no doubt that Kuina feels that she will be hit hard. However, this life may be spent in depression. Hearing this, everyone in the room fell silent instantly. Even Koshiro Shimatsuki, who was slightly twitching because of his injuries, stopped his movements at this time, and his exposed eyes showed a faint unbearable, "One can think of the cruelty of the sea, he could only be cruel again." He is naturally very clear about his daughter's talent. However, it is absolutely not enough to be outstanding in swordsmanship. A swordsman is not only concerned with swordsmanship, but his body is also a very important element, but Gina's physical talent is not strong. Even just a little stronger than the average person. This is also doomed, in the future, in the process of climbing to the peak of swordsmanship, he will encounter countless desperate situations. Rather than dying in such a tragic way, it would be better to give up early and spend the rest of his life honestly and peacefully. This is his idea of caring about his children as a father. No one can say that this idea is wrong, but it is not necessarily correct. At least, it is because of the statement that Kuina in the original book fell into a state of paranoia, so sometimes, the concept of parents is really important to children. After a moment of silence, Li Yiming stretched out his hand very naturally and placed it on top of Kuina's head. "You're right in saying that, but you're also wrong." The ambiguous answer made Kuina somewhat at a loss as to how to understand it. At this moment, Li Yiming raised his hand slowly, but the voice sounded again, "This world is very big, and there are countless terrifying strong men on the sea, including men and women. The famous Sea Emperor Charlotte Te Lingling is a woman, she is a woman. Other than that, whether it is Vice Admiral Tsuru of the Navy headquarters, Charlotte Smoothie of the Big Mom Pirates, or Crescent Moon Hunter Katrin Daime, their strengths should not be underestimated, but if it is a swordsman, then the most outstanding one is probably the Jun of the Navy headquarters. However, generally speaking, men have more advantages than women, but it is not absolute. No one is born strong, and even if there is, they can be surpassed through acquired efforts. Gina, don't you want to become the world's #1 swordsman? Now that you have firmly established this idea, don't be disturbed by external factors. You just need to be determined to do it. Even if you die for it, it's an honor. The romance of a swordsman is as simple as that. The understatement of the words, but like enlightenment, made Gina suddenly shocked. The girl's eyes became dull, as if she was pondering in her mind, and she came back to her senses after a while. The anxiety in her eyes had completely disappeared, replaced by the deep firmness. "Thank you, Mr. Li Yiming, for telling me all this. I think I know what to do next." Kuan bowed at 90 degrees, exuding strong self-confidence. Seeing this scene, the smile on Li Yiming's face became brighter. To be honest, he has gone through many time travel simulations before, and without exception, he accepted Kuan as his disciple, so this real-life time travel simulation will be no exception. Such a good seedling, since Kosuro Shimatsuki can't teach him, let him do it. "No, I just told some trivial truths, and a man I respect very much once said, 'Don't pick off the sprouts easily, their era has just begun.' The person who can say such words must be a powerful human being." He Faith, who had been silent all the time, couldn't help expressing emotion at this time. Sometimes, the words spoken by human beings are more philosophical. In some respects, yes. Thinking of Lei Li's face, the corners of Li Yiming's mouth twitched uncontrollably. He was handsome and powerful at the time, but he sold himself for drinking, which always felt very unreliable. However, for the idle and boring gods, this kind of behavior may be interesting, or maybe. Since you are so interested, Lord Shangshen, let's stop by and meet that guy when the time comes. You might be disappointed. It's okay, I'm very tolerant. The communication between Li Yiming and Faith Tas poured into the ears of Kuina and Shimatsuki Kosuro, and the father and daughter were slightly stunned, and then they didn't care about the title. After all, gods and the like are very common in the sea, and they didn't think in other directions. "Mr. Li Yiming, I have an unfeeling request. I want to worship you as my teacher and learn swordsmanship from you. Please accept me as an apprentice." During the chat, Kuina suddenly made such a request. Not only that, the girl knelt on the ground very simply, which surprised Li Yiming a little, but when he thought of the personality of the girl in front of him, he quickly realized it. It really looks like her style. "Adore me as a teacher? Although I already have 3 apprentices, I don't mind accepting another one, but isn't your goal the world's #1 swordsman? Then I should be one of your goals. If you just worship me as your teacher, what will happen to your ambition?" The questioning on a whim touched Kuina's heart. At this moment, even Goddess Faith showed a curious look. The words of the girl in front of her had already made her see a bright spot, and she had the idea of receiving her under her command, but the other party was not a blacksmith, which made the red-haired goddess fall into deep hesitation. However, if the opponent has more shining points, it is not impossible to make an exception. The prerequisite is that Kuina's answer can satisfy her. The room suddenly became silent. This question seems to make Kuina very difficult, and this hesitation also makes Li Yiming and He Faith a little disappointed. Weakness is not shameful, but indecision is a big taboo. Just like Ace, she wants to become stronger, and she even does not hesitate to ask adventurers who are weaker than her. I fully support her behavior. The strong must have their own thoughts and firm goals. Just when Li Yiming was about to speak out to help out, Kuina, who had been silent all this time, finally responded. "Even though Mr. Li Yiming is my goal, I still want to worship you as my teacher. Only by following you can I see a wider world and become stronger. I want to surpass you and challenge that guy to become the world's greatest swordsman. Ask for flowers." Raising her head suddenly, Kuina's eyes were extremely firm. At this moment, even Li Yiming couldn't help being stunned. I seem to have heard these words somewhere, and if I remember correctly, a certain green algae will also say similar words when he chooses to become a teacher in the future. Should it be said that he is a genius with similarities? There was relief in Li Yiming's eyes, and Faith's eyes flashed in the same way, showing a satisfied expression. This answer is barely qualified. If so, then I will accept you. Really? Kuina suddenly revealed a look of surprise. Before she could continue speaking, Li Yiming poured cold water on her mouth. Don't be too happy, I'm very strict. If you can't meet my standards, then I'm sorry. You will face a very terrible punishment, be prepared. Yes, Mr. Li Yiming, no, Master. Kuina didn't have the slightest fear, and her eyes were full of self-confidence from the bottom of her heart. What a nice child, then little Gina, are you willing to join my family and carry the title of He Faith to roam the world? The inappropriate interjection of Goddess He Faith made Gina feel a little overwhelmed. Families or something, what exactly do they mean? Is this trying to make her a subordinate? But that will definitely affect my ability to become the #1 swordsman in the world, but the other party is also a friend of Master. Would it be bad if I refused directly? For a moment, Kuina fell into hesitation. Seeing the girl's expression like this, Li Yiming suddenly realized something, couldn't help but shook his head with a smile, then turned his head to Faith and said, Master Shangshen, you should tell Guy the specific situation, let's talk about it later, or you will probably be rejected. Is that so? I know. Goddess He Faith nodded lightly knowingly, and then unlocked the hidden divinity, and the unique temperament and charm of the gods emerged instantly. This huge change made Kuina and Shimatsuki Koshiro freeze in place instantly. Let me introduce myself again, my name is Faith, the god of fire and craftsman. Gina, are you willing to join my family? I will give you the god's grace to obtain the key to stimulate your potential and possibility. God, Master God. Filled with divinity, Kuina suddenly became incoherent. Although she has never seen a god before, at this moment, no matter whether it is her or Koshiro Shimatsuki, they can clearly know that the person in front of her is definitely a god. For no reason, both of them were saying the same voice deep in their hearts. Gods? Although it is unbelievable, Lord Shangshen is indeed a real god, but not a god of battle, but a goddess who is proficient in forging. It is not too much to call it a master craftsman. I am also a member of the He Faith family. Li Yiming's words almost brought the atmosphere to a climax. Hearing this, Kuina's delicate body trembled, she came back to her senses instantly, and bowed to He Faith. I'm really sorry, Master He Faith, I didn't know your real identity before, it's really rude, please forgive me. It doesn't matter, those who don't know don't blame, and there is no need to be so serious, and I am not so strict. In fact, our gods are very easygoing, so it is better to be a little casual. He Faith stretched out her hands to hold her back, and with her divine power running, Kuina stood up from the ground uncontrollably. Looking at the timid girl in front of her, Faith had a picture of seeing the young ace, and couldn't help but feel more satisfied for a moment. So, she directly repeated what she just said. Then Kuina, are you willing to join my family and become my child? Can I? Kuina looked extremely surprised, and subconsciously glanced at Koshiro Shimatsuki and Li Yiming. In the latter's encouraging eyes, she regained her courage. I am willing to join, Lord Faith Toss, please give me your advice in the future. That's really great, you will be my child from now on, and you should get along with other people well, so now, let's formally portray God's grace, Yiming. Understood, Lord Shangshen. Li Yiming nodded slightly, and then dragged Koshiro Shimatsuki to the side to leave the room. In fact, it was just standing in the courtyard and waiting for the ceremony to end. Koshiro Shimatsuki had just recovered from the state of shock at this time, recalling the divine power of Goddess Faith Hitos just now. This middle-aged man was very fortunate, but also felt delighted. Thinking of his daughter's future, he suddenly showed a grateful look. Mr. Li Yiming, thank you for accepting my daughter, Kuina will be in a lot of trouble in the future. Even if you don't say it, I will do it. I am looking forward to Kuina's future, and it will definitely make your jaw drop. Li Yiming said like this. Chapter 129. Don't want to be a hero, but do heroic things. Thanks to A26258 for the monthly pass. Dina. LV.1. Strength, IO durability, I0 dexterity, I0 dexterity, I0 magic, IO. Development ability. Magic. Skill. Swordsmanship genius. When equipped with a sword, a temporary additional development ability swordsman will be added. Slightly improved perception of sword skills. The very simple ability value panel records all of Kuina's situation in detail. The skills she possesses are similar to Li Yiming's Jian Xi and Tongming, but if you look closely, you can find that the effect is completely incomparable. This shows how powerful Ji Guo Yuanyi's talent is. It is no exaggeration to say that it is not an exaggeration to say that he is the son of heaven, that man was born a swordsman. You actually have a skill, and it's a talent-oriented skill. The first child you accept in this world will pick up a treasure. It's really the same as what you said, Yiming, the children in this world are really talented. It is powerful, if those guys know, they will be ecstatic. Of course, Lord Shangshen, this trip will not let you down. Li Yiming smiled lightly, and quickly vaccinated her faith. In fact, this is where it is. If you see the world-shattering physical combat and the magical and gorgeous devil fruit, I am afraid that my Lord God will feel even more excited. After all, after getting along for a while, he also gradually figured out the temperament of his red-haired goddess. In addition to forging, she is curious about new knowledge. This kind of magical power system, which is completely different from Oleli's, will definitely arouse her interest. I'm afraid that after the real-life time-traveling simulation is over, the Faith Familia will complete the expansion of personnel again. Moreover, with so many talented or powerful members joining in, the overall strength of the family will be significantly improved by 290 up. So, does Goddess Faith become the strongest family god just lying down? If other gods knew about it, they would surely get red-eyed with jealousy. Lord Shangshen, Master, please take care of me in the future. Officially engraved with the god's grace, although the strength has not changed in the slightest, Kuina still feels a slight change, as if a certain switch has been turned on. It is simply a supreme honor to be able to join the command of a god. Although the world of One Piece does not seem to have too many gods, and even Nika, who was once known as the sun god, has been gradually forgotten by most people, it does not prevent humans from changing their beliefs. After all, there is nothing shameful about believing in a powerful god. After staying in Zemo's Hiji village for a few days, Li Yiming did not forget to teach Kuina. Not only did he teach the breathing method to the other party, but he also trained the girl's basic ability value and combat skills through actual combat. Every day can be said to be quite fulfilling. However, Li Yiming and Goddess Faith obviously couldn't stay on this island for long. Witnessing Kuina's changes with his own eyes, Shimatsuki Koshiro also looked away. In order to thank one man one god for his help to Kuina, he took out a lot of assets and specially hired someone to build a ship, although it is not particularly luxurious. But at least it is stronger and more comfortable than ordinary merchant ships. It can be seen that Tsukiko Shiro trained a lot of kung fu doctors. At the pier of Hiji village in Seymour, Li Yiming and Goddess Faith stood on the boat, and Kuina stood on the shore, and said to her father with some reluctance, "Father, I want to follow Lord Shangshen and Master we left together, you must take care of yourself." "Don't worry, Kuina, I'm not old yet, and I can take care of myself, but you, by the side of Mr. Li Yiming and Master He Faith, must be sensible and don't be willful, you know." Shimatsuki Koshiro's expression was very complicated, and there was a little bit of reluctance in his eyes. However, he also knows that he can't keep his daughter, that is the other party's dream, since it is possible to chase the pinnacle of swordsmanship now, then let her go. What's more, it may be her honor to be able to follow a great swordsman and a god. "I see, Father, Pay more attention to your body, I will find time to come back to see you. Although Shimatsuki Koshiro once discouraged her enthusiasm, she didn't have any thoughts of blaming her. After all, it was for her own good. Very good. Now that she is about to travel far away, Kuina's face is full of reluctance. However, in order to chase her dream, the girl had already made up her mind. With her lips pursed, she turned around and walked into the boat without hesitation, and stood beside the goddess He-Faith. Master Frost Moon, don't worry, I will protect Kuina's safety and let her come back to see you often. Then all will be left to your excellency Li Yiming and her majesty Faith. After the solemn words fell, Li Yiming let go of the sails, and driven by the wind, the wooden boat sailed away from the wharf of Samoshiji village at a not-so-fast speed and headed for the distance. Soon, the figures near the pier became smaller and smaller, and finally even the entire island disappeared from sight. Only then did Li Yiming look away. Turning his head, he found that Kuina was in a slightly depressed mood. He couldn't help but put his left hand on the girl's head again, and comforted him softly. Okay, Kuina, there is no need to be so sad, there is always a banquet in the world. And you don't never go back, you can come back to see Master Frost Moon whenever you have time. However, before that, you still have to achieve something first, otherwise, if the owner of the pavilion sees that your sword skills have not improved, it would be bad to treat us as liars. The effect of cold jokes is not particularly obvious, and Li Yiming is actually not good at coaxing people. However, the very sensible Kuina understood his intentions, and her heart immediately warmed up, and the sadness on her face dissipated a lot. At least she smiled again. No, master, I will study hard. Very good, I like your momentum. Then while sailing on the sea, go over there and swing the knife 3,000 times, the posture must be standard. I will not supervise you, everything depends on you. What you can do, are you there? Yes, master, I will do it. After leaving these words, Kuina ran to the deck beside her and started practicing with the words Hedeo and the wooden sword. SHH. SHHH. SHHH. The wooden sword waved, and the loud and clear sound of breaking the wind continued to sound. Looking at Kuina, who was being meticulous and striving to make every sword perfect, Li Yiming nodded in satisfaction, and looked away for a while, then looked away. Yiming, where are we going next? The ship was sailing aimlessly on the sea. After leaving Seymour's Hiji village, there was an endless ocean all around. No matter which direction it was, the picture was exactly the same. It was impossible for ordinary people to identify the correct one in this situation. Position. Li Yiming, who has no sailing skills at all, looks very dizzy looking at the surrounding environment. From the looks of it, the idea of drifting wherever you go in the traversal simulation is obviously unrealistic. You have to find a reliable navigator. Perhaps, you can find one from the Navy. Lord Shangshen, we have just come to this world. We are not familiar with the place and direction. This sea area is the weakest East Daxia Sea. Next, we need to enter the Great Route with complex and changeable weather. If we don't, a navigator who knows how to navigate is absolutely impossible. So, why don't you just go shopping in the East Daxia Sea and see if you can find a qualified navigator? What do you think? Li Yiming expressed his suggestion, and at the same time wanted to seek the opinion of Goddess Faith. Wouldn't this be a waste of time? I can take you and little Gina to fly there. According to my speed, no matter where it is, I can almost reach it in the shortest time. Because of the differences in the world, the flow rate of time in different worlds is also completely different. For some special reasons, no matter how long we stay in this world, only 1 hour will pass by Oleli's side. That's all, so don't worry about the time issue at all. Li Yiming explained with a smile, and then added again, of course, if you feel that taking a boat is too time-consuming, Lord Shangshen, we can also make a quick decision. Get everything done as quickly as possible, and then return to Europe. Larry, do you think that's alright? Hey, even the flow rate of time is completely different. It's really amazing. Obviously, He-Faith's focus is completely different. After hearing the news, the red-haired goddess also showed a bright smile on her face. Since no matter how long it has passed, Oleli will only pass for an hour, so there is no need for us to rush back in such a hurry. After finally coming to a different world, let's enjoy more of the customs of the different world. By the way, in this world let's take a walk around. You don't know Yiming, the heavens are so boring, although Oleli is wonderful, but staying in one place for a long time will almost suffocate to death. Then listen to you, my lord. Li Yiming smiled slightly, and then involuntarily breathed a sigh of relief. Since Goddess Faith did not urge her, the next plan is relatively loose. Try to change more things, then improve your troublemaking level, improve your final evaluation, and find some powerful swordsmen on the way to learn from each other. It would be great if he could raise his strength to another level before fighting Im. After all, it would be nice to not have the help of the goddess Hetos. By the way, Yiming, what is the situation of pirates that Koshiro Shimatsuki mentioned before, and tell me about the specific situation of this world by the way. Of course, no problem, Lord Shangshen, this world is basically covered by the ocean, and the proportion of land and islands is not high, so ships are a very important means of transportation, ito. The wooden boat sails on the sea with wind and waves. Koana stood alone on the deck practicing swordsmanship. The girl's forehead was dripping with sweat, and her breathing became slightly short of breath. Her hands were also extremely sore, but she didn't want to give up, but gritted her teeth, continued with a firm gaze. On the other side, Li Yiming's goddess He-Faith told about the specific situation of One Piece world. First, the situation in each region, then the distribution of forces, and finally various forces. The easy-to-understand words made He-Faith quickly understand the basic situation of this world, and she nodded lightly. So, the ruler of this world is an organization called the World Government. It's just a group of outlaws who make waves on the sea, and the rulers of the World Government are a group of guys who call themselves descendants of God. Is this understanding correct? Generally there is no problem, the vast majority of pirates are not. For the sake of their so-called fame, many pirates will choose to burn, kill, and loot to attract the attention of the navy, so as to increase their own rewards, so in most cases, say. There's nothing wrong with pirates being villains. But at the same time, the navy is not absolutely righteous, at least in terms of acting style, it is not so decent. Li Yiming roughly expressed his true inner thoughts. He doesn't admire the navy, but he is very resistant to pirates. Probably because of the memory of his previous life, he couldn't burn, kill, and loot with peace of mind. Things that have no owner may be contested, but Li Yiming has no way to convince himself to do such a thing by taking things from ordinary people. Even if some pirates did not do evil, but many rampant behaviors caused more or less damage to others. However, in the world of One Piece, which is surrounded by the sea, there is no way for this situation to happen. No matter which world it is, there will always be people who want to work hard. As for the existence of the acquisition, even among the group of adventurers in Orario, there are not a few such people. Maybe it's like that saying. The world is neither black nor white, but a fine gray. You said there are things to be done in this world, what exactly are they? After a little thought, Faith suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Although Li Yiming was a little puzzled, he still responded simply, it's not a big deal, it's probably just to increase the time and deal with some unsightly things. Kill some evil people, and then overthrow a world government or something, that's about it. An understatement of words, without any tone fluctuations at all. It's like talking about something trivial. If other people knew that he calmly said such a terrible thing, he would be regarded as a fool by everyone. After all, even the most powerful pirate emperor would not dare to confront the world government head-on. There was one person who did this before, and he almost succeeded, but very soon. Unfortunately, in the end they lost to the joint efforts of the Navy and One Piece Lodoji, and finally lost. It is ridiculous that an unknown newcomer wants to overthrow the world government. However, Faith, who knows Li Yiming very well, is very clear that her child is not joking. The red-haired goddess of the basic situation of the world already has some basic understanding of the world. Simply put, the human potential in this world is great, 3.2 but ordinary people are living in dire straits. Countries that are able to pay protection fees will be protected by the world government, but will be squeezed by their own kings, while countries that are unable to pay protection fees will be invaded by pirates. Ordinary people who have no power at all will always die tragically in the invasion of pirates. No matter which world it is, there will always be chaos. Even in Orario, there are dark factions. Although human beings have unlimited potential, they always like to fight. What a combination of contradictions. Thinking about it, Faith couldn't help sighing. Yes, where there are people, there is struggle. Human desires always make them pursue more. Many people are often dragged into the abyss by desires because they cannot control their desires. Probably the root of human beings. But relatively, it is also because of the existence of desire that human beings can make progress. It is really contradictory. Li Yiming also sighed involuntarily. Even he himself has desires, although this desire is not so obvious as his strength increases and he becomes more and more secure, but it still exists. However, no matter what the future holds, at least he can control his desires so that they will not undergo drastic changes. He didn't want to be an existence that disgusted even himself. Goddess Faith turned her head and stared at Li Yiming's handsome side face, the corners of her mouth were slightly curved, and an idea suddenly appeared in her mind. Ming once said personally that he does not want to be a hero. But, what is being done now? Is there anything that a hero would not accomplish? Yiming, you have unknowingly become the existence you least want to be. I really look forward to where you will go in the end. You will definitely become the most powerful hero. Chapter 130, Caucosia Village. Be there in time. Destroy the dragon pirates. Monthly ticket plus subscription required. In the East Daxia Sea, several ships gathered together. Violent explosions sounded from the ship from time to time, and then a ship with a skull flag suddenly broke from the middle, and sank in the sea in an instant. In the blink of an eye, there were only 2 ships left in the sea. Faith stood at the bow of the ship, watching the battle on the opposite side with a calm expression. It is not that she has not seen battles between human beings. In fact, before the gods descended to the lower realms, the gods did not seldom fight, because there are many gods who are bored and looking for fun, and the most prominent one is probably Loki. That guy is gone. In order not to feel bored, she even used tricks to pull all the gods into the water. Originally, they were artisan gods, and most of them had very hot tempers. Coupled with such a provocation, they were naturally ignited, and then joined the battle of gods. Because they won't really die, they can be resurrected every 10,000 years, so the gods are also unscrupulous. This situation did not completely subside until after the lower realms. The gods transferred their source of fun to the members of the family members. Many gods often went to the arena of the Ganesha family members to watch the battle. Faith Toss is occasionally no exception. However, she is still very curious about the way of fighting in this world, so she observes it so seriously. At this moment, there are only a few living people left on the opposite pirate ship, most of them have lost their breath and completely collapsed on the deck. The only ones who can keep standing are only 3 people. One of them was wearing a black suit with a captain's coat on his shoulders, glasses, cat's claws on both hands, and long blades extending from the gloves. Beiji Crow, the leader of the Black Cat Pirates. The ship that was heading towards Kakosia village and Rogtown suddenly encountered the Black Cat pirates on the sea. Naturally, the pirates behaved like nothing else, and launched shelling at the slightest disagreement. Now that they have met, Li Yiming will naturally not be used to it and lead Kuina to launch a counterattack. After the engraving of God's grace, Kuina's talent in kendo seemed to be fully stimulated. Not only in a short period of time, she learned the breath of water from the breath of the sun, but also in the battle with ordinary pirates. Among them, many ability values are recorded. Although she is not yet an adult at 19, her physical fitness is no weaker than that of ordinary adults. Coupled with the incomparable exquisite swordsmanship, he completely fought with the Cat brothers of the Black Cat pirates. Although it was dangerous, he did not fall into a disadvantage. As for the other pirates, it was not Li Yiming who killed them, but Crow himself. Under the indiscriminate attack of Bao Si, Li Yiming and Kuyuna did not suffer any harm. On the contrary, other members were accidentally injured. It is too sad that they cannot control their own strength. You guy, who the hell are you? Why haven't I heard your name in Donghai before? Panting heavily, Crow asked solemnly. However, Li Yiming didn't seem to want to respond to his thoughts. Who am I? It doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. Since you chose to attack us, you should be prepared to die in battle. The Black Cat pirates will cease to exist today. Are you kidding me? I'm Kiluo. The feeling of being ignored is not good, and Crow was a little angry. Just when he was about to continue to use silent steps, Li Yiming was one step ahead of him and moved behind him in an instant. The index finger of his right hand quickly thrust out, piercing Crow's heart with incomparable precision. The big pirate who was domineering in the East Daxia Sea died here so easily. At the same time, Kuina's battle is coming to an end. Water breath, three shapes flowing, dancing. In an instant, Kuina's figure became meandering instantly, and a large number of after-images appeared in sight. The Cat brothers didn't react at all, and they were easily resolved. After doing all this, the girl breathed a sigh of relief, and her figure swayed slightly. This battle was not easy for her, but no matter what, she finally won the victory against the somewhat famous pirates. The changes visible to the naked eye immediately made Gina feel ecstatic. Sure enough, it is undoubtedly a very correct decision to become the master's disciple, join the family of Lord Shangshen, and go to sea with them. This also allowed Gina to see the possibility of chasing her dreams again. Okay, don't be too happy too early. This is just a bunch of little Karami who don't even know what domineering is. When you can defeat the pirate with a reward of over 100 million, it won't be too late to be happy. As for now, let's practice hard first. The excitement was extinguished in an instant, which made Kuina a little dissatisfied. She gave Li Yiming an annoyed look, but in exchange for the latter's stern eyes, the girl stuck out her tongue mischievously, and nodded honestly. I see, Master, I will definitely train seriously, and then meet your requirements as soon as possible. Then I'm just waiting for that day to come. Rubbing Kuina's head vigorously, Li Yiming punished the little girl for her presumptuousness. Another 2 days later, Kakosia village was a few hundred meters away. Goddess Faith is lying leisurely on a chair and basking in the sun, probably because there are only Li Yiming and Gina. The always conservative red-haired goddess is very bold in bikini at this time. Li Yiming's hot figure makes Li Yiming I was a little dazzled for a while. Seeing this, Kuina, who was exercising hard at the side, immediately rolled her eyes angrily. Master, your eyeballs are about to fall out, it's too embarrassing to look like this. Hey, you little girl, what do you know about movies? I'm teaching you to train too hard, so watch some beautiful scenery to relax your eyes. Do you think it's easy for me? In order not to damage his image, Li Yiming hastily coughed twice and explained solemnly. However, facing Kuina's eyes full of weirdness, he suddenly felt a little guilty, turned his head in embarrassment, and forcibly disconnected. Kokozia village is coming soon, let's take a rest for now. Ha ha. A sneer sounded, which made Li Yiming's brow slightly raised. Sure enough, the originally very cute little girl became less and less cute after a long time of contact. She was not as comfortable as teaching Isai, Diona, and Butterfly Ninja at all. But this feeling seems to be good, at least much better than being too serious. Heeding his words, Kuina stopped training, and looked towards the island not far away. Master, there seems to be a boat parked on the shore. Guyuna's reminder instantly made Li Yiming frowned. The body that has been strengthened by the ability value has indeed captured the ship in Kuina's mouth. Although the flag fluttering in the wind is not particularly clear, it is definitely the pirate flag. The domineering air shrouded away, and immediately the situation above Kakosha village, and even everyone's conversations were included incomparably clearly, and his face instantly became extremely dark. Something went wrong, Lord Shangshen, I'll take the first step, please bring Kuina over later. Well, you go, I will drive the boat to follow. He Faith, who was lying on the chair, nodded, with a look of anticipation in his eyes. Receiving a response, Li Yiming didn't hesitate any longer, and with both feet slammed hard, his figure disappeared directly on the deck, turning into a white streak across the sky in an instant, and arrived at Kokozia village. Kuina, who didn't notice any movement trajectory at all, changed her previous contempt and immediately showed an envious expression. It's amazing, isn't it? At some point, He Faith has come to the girl's side. Master Shangshen. Kuina came back to her senses, her attitude was very respectful, and she also seemed extremely cautious. He Faith, who has long been used to it, didn't care, looked at the direction where Li Yiming disappeared with bright eyes, and said softly, Yiming is the most powerful child in my family, and he is a hero recognized by me. If you want to defeat him, you have to put in 100,000 efforts to make it possible. If you relax a little bit, maybe you will be pulled further and further away by him. Master is very powerful, but I will definitely become the world's #1 swordsman. He Faith's words did not make Gina flinch, and her inner thoughts were already very firm. Seeing this, the red-haired goddess suddenly chuckled, you really look like another female apprentice of Yiming. Master's other disciples. Hearing this, Guyuna suddenly showed a curious expression, Master Shangshen, if it's convenient, can you tell me about the situation of senior sister? Of course, that's the girl who was bestowed the title of Sword Fairy by our gods. Kokozia village. Li Yiming, who arrived here ahead of schedule, followed the guidance of knowledgeable domineering, and soon appeared in the crowded field, and a large number of villagers appeared in his sight. At the same time, there are still many murlocs. There were so many people gathered outside the ordinary orange grove, the scene in front of them was already very obvious, it was the event of the dragon pirates invading Kokozia village. The time doesn't seem to be right. I remember the time travel simulation before, the dragon should not have come so soon. Looking at the scene in front of him, Li Yiming frowned suddenly. Is it because the real person travels through the simulation, so the time has deviated again? My own system is becoming more and more unreliable. Every time there will always be some unexpected surprises in some sporadic and trivial places. This feeling of being unable to grasp is really unacceptable. Fortunately, still under control. Li Yiming couldn't help being very thankful, fortunately, he chose to rush to Kokozia village at the first time. Otherwise, maybe you will miss this event directly. If the final evaluation of the customs clearance is not enough, he doesn't even have a place to cry. It seems that the travel after that needs to be accelerated to avoid mistakes in the middle. Let's deal with these murlocs first. With a thought, Li Yiming's figure instantly disappeared in place. On the other side, the evil dragon was blocking the door of Belle Mel's house at this time, looking at the woman in front of him with a grinning face, his eyes were fierce, and his behavior was full of teasing. "So, you don't pay enough to sell, right?" The terrified expressions of the villagers made the evil dragon very satisfied, which greatly vented his distorted mentality, but the woman who dared to raise a gun to resist made him feel dissatisfied. "If you have no money, then go to hell. Hee hee, I'm just a group of pirates. Don't look at me like this. I used to be a navy." Bell-Mel looked resolute, and pulled the trigger in his hand without hesitation. "Don't even think about hurting my family, you nasty Murloc BD. Boom. Moment of gunfire. The sound sounded, and the buckshot shot out instantly. The sound of the hit didn't sound, but the dragon that was standing in front of him just now had disappeared, and Bell's body froze in place, with beads of sweat dripping from his forehead. "Scary, ha 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 ha, it's just a group of low-level humans who dare to resist, then go to hell." Aaron's big fan-like hand instantly grabbed the back of Bell-Mel's head. The physical strength gap made it impossible for Bell-Mel to dodge. "Bell-Mel!" All the villagers present exclaimed suddenly, among them Nami and Nyokijo were even running in the direction of Bell-Mel. Shin was obviously too late. Swish! Just at this critical moment, the air hummed continuously. Immediately afterwards, the dragon, which was still arrogant and domineering before, flew upside down in an instant, smashing directly into the ground not far away, causing a terrible vibration at the same time. The place where the evil dragon stood before has been replaced by another figure. "I almost missed it, dragon pirates. Boss dragon." The Murlocs who came back to their senses suddenly exclaimed, and before they had time to check the situation of the evil dragon, the ruins on the ground exploded instantly, and a figure slowly walked out of the smoke and dust. "Damn inferior human beings, you dare to sneak up on the noble Murlocs and beat me up like this. It is really unforgivable. 490 I will definitely smash your bones inch by inch." Inch crushed. A large amount of blood flowed down from the head of the evil dragon, stimulated by the pain. The evil dragon was already burning with anger, and looked at Li Yiming with scarlet eyes, looking like an angry shark. "Little ones, give me luck for this group of lowly humans." The rest of the Murlocs suddenly showed a fierce look, and walked slowly towards all the surrounding villagers. "You guys are really pathetic. Originally, I didn't have the slightest prejudice against people, and I treated you all equally, but since I choose to be evil, then I should do it accordingly. Come to your senses. Why are you still standing there? Do it." With the order of the evil dragon, all the Murlocs rushed towards all the humans at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, he himself did not know where to pull out a big saw blade, and slashed towards Li Yiming's head with all his strength. That shark face still had a vicious look on it. "The ignorant are doomed." Buzz! A terrifying impact gushed out instantly, covering all the Murlocs on the scene. The Murlocs who were planning to attack the villagers froze instantly and couldn't move. Even the big saw blade in the dragon's hand hovered over Li Yiming's head at this moment, unable to press down any further. The villagers who had already resigned to their fate and planned to fight to the death, after seeing the weird scene in front of them, all of them involuntarily froze in place. The scene instantly became very funny. The next moment, all the Murlocs' eyes turned white, and they fell straight to the ground, unconscious. Such a strange scene almost made all the villagers' eyes widen. No one knew what happened. The Murlocs, who were clearly arrogant just now, had completely lost their ability to resist, like a group of dead fish. But the only thing that can be confirmed is that this young man must have done everything in front of him. Looking at the corpse of the Murloc lying on the ground in front of him, Li Yiming was slightly silent, and then couldn't help but sighed. Sure enough, compared to the kind of revenge, I still prefer this kind of once and for all. After all, late justice has no meaning at all, it is just a high-sounding word. As soon as the words fell, Li Yiming quickly kicked out with his right leg, and a large number of vacuum slashes flew out, kicking the heads of the Murlocs into pieces, leaving Xiaoba alone. It's not because the octopus Murloc survived in the original book, but because the other party is familiar with Rayleigh. In the past time travel simulation process, Rayleigh has helped him a lot. In this case, it is not a big deal to sell him a little face. Anyway, the culprit is the evil dragon. He has already been decapitated, so there is no need to worry about leaving him alone. Sir, thank you for your rescue. If you hadn't come, our entire village would have been destroyed by these Murlocs. Please accept our most sincere thanks. Bell-Mel, the only one who had been in the Navy, took a deep breath and came forward to express his gratitude. Even the heroine of the female middle school can't help but feel a little bit of fear at this time. In the face of death, no one can remain calm. Chapter 131 Charge into the Upside Down Mountain. The role of the sacred text. Thanks to Yayu Li for the monthly pass. The dragon pirates were destroyed, and Kokosia village was also successfully protected. After that, the special products of One Piece world are naturally indispensable, and the banquet can be held no matter what the situation is. The villagers of Kokosia village warmly entertained Li Yiming and others, and solemnly expressed their gratitude. Unexpectedly, goddess faith easily blended into this atmosphere. It has to be said that although the people in pirate world are a bit hard-wit, they are very strange in terms of affinity. They are a group of completely unknown existences, but they can mingle together in a short period of time. This is probably the charm of the world in front of you. After the carnival of the whole village was over, Li Yiming and others embarked on the long voyage under the reluctant eyes of the villagers. On the shore, the two little radish heads looked at the big ship going away, and Li Yiming's body when he killed the Murloc pirate was constantly echoing in his mind, and there was a color called longing in his eyes. The journey of Dong Hai seems to have come to an end here. The related information about the Great Route was obtained from the dragon pirates, including many maps and even the existence of record pointers, which is undoubtedly good news. That being the case, One Piece's problem is not that. Although Li Yiming doesn't know how to sail, but there is only one pointer for recording. If this can make the route deviate, then he should not take the boat and let Goddess Faith take him to fly. That way at least you won't get lost at sea. In the process of going to the entrance of the Great Route, they were lucky enough to encounter a naval warship. The leading officer was a mouse from the 16th branch of the Navy, but he was not a colonel yet, but a lieutenant colonel. In order to avoid this guy making trouble, Li Yiming sent him to see God directly. As for whether this kind of behavior will attract the Navy's wanted, he doesn't care at all. Anyway, sooner or later, they have to confront the world government, so the Navy can also be said to be an enemy, and it is no problem to be noticed now, and it will not affect the next action. There is no stop in Rog Town, the supplies on the ship are very abundant. The closer you get to the entrance, the more complex and changeable the surrounding weather becomes. The endless mountain is like a huge water pump, pumping all the seawater to the top of the mountain. At this time, Kuina had also stopped cultivating, looking at the scene in front of her with a shocked face. Wow, is this the entrance to the Great Route? It's too amazing. What's going on with the seawater? It's actually flowing backwards towards the top of the mountain, it's unbelievable. Indeed, even I have seen this for the first time. The goddess He Faith at the side also involuntarily uttered words of admiration. The scene in front of me is really shocking. To some extent, the mountain in front of me can even be compared with Olele's Tower of Babel. One is a natural landscape and the other is a man-made construction, but there is no distinction between superior and inferior. Master, what's going on here? Hearing the question from his little apprentice, Li Yiming shook the map in his hand, and said softly, "This is the entrance of the Great Sea Route. Reversing the mountain, there are 4 counter-current sea routes, which connect the 4 seas respectively, and one leads to the Great Sea Route. The seaway of the route, from here all the way up, you can reach the first half of the Great Route. In fact, We can also go to the great route through the calm zone, but there is no wind and waves in the calm zone. Ordinary ships will completely lose power in that sea area, and there are many terrible sea kings in it. Basically only specially modified warships can sail safely in it. It turned out to be so. It was amazing. After hearing his description, Goddess Faith and Kuina showed surprised expressions almost at the same time. But then, the girl showed worry on her face. Master, is it true that such a seaway will not hit the mountain? I feel that the ship is likely to be destroyed. Don't worry, didn't I tell you, I'm very strong. Sensing Guyana's worry, Li Yiming smiled slightly and rubbed the girl's head lightly. The slight warmth made the girl's cheeks flush, but she quickly calmed down. Thinking of the existence of Goddess Faith, there is no need to worry about safety issues. Since we have connected, let's go now, but then again, even if we want to repent now, it seems that it is too late. Li Yiming pointed not far away. The so-called entrance was not far away. The uncontrolled rudder began to drift wantonly in this chaotic sea current, and even the shaking of the ship became more and more violent. Kuina could barely stand firm by pulling the rope on the edge of the deck, is enough to show how bad the situation is. Let's talk about other things later. Yiming, go in and control the rudder first. The force of the ocean current is getting bigger and bigger. If you let it go on like this, you may hit the mountain. Yes, Lord God. After lightly nodding his head, Li Yiming's figure instantly disappeared in place. Appeared again, has come to the stern of the ship. The rudder is being installed at this place, and the field of view is wide, fully able to see the specific situation around the ship. Although Li Yiming doesn't know how to sail, his skill in navigating ships is nothing to say. Coupled with knowledge and domineering ability to foresee the future for a short time, almost all the next situation is printed in the mind, and then adjusted. It is very easy to start walking through the seaway, whether it is the turbulent current or the huge rock along the way. The walls did not cause any hindrance. Such a passionate experience made the Goddess Faith and Kuina stare wide-eyed. The former is because of the excitement, while the latter is because of some apprehension. The speeding ship keeps going back and forth among the rocks, and even almost collided with it many times. This kind of excitement makes this girl, who has never experienced this kind of situation, grabbing the rope almost tightly, while lowering the center of gravity. After all, with such a turbulent ocean current, if one is accidentally thrown out, even knowing how to swim will not help. Fortunately, there were no accidents during the period. The ship climbed to the highest point without any risk, and then entered the Great Seaway and went down the river. Once again, everyone experienced what is called speed and passion. Boom! The ship's hull and the sea water made a terrifying collision sound, and a large amount of sea water splashed towards the surroundings, and at the same time as it fell quickly, it was almost like a heavy rain. Following the impact of the sea water for a long distance, the shaking ship stabilized. Looking at the lighthouse not far away, Li Yiming, who was controlling the rudder before, let go of his hands, stepped back to the deck, and immediately showed a look of expectation on his face. It seems that we have successfully reached the Great Route. Lord Shangshen, how do you feel? It feels good, the world is so interesting. When she said this, the corners of Goddess Faith's mouth drew a clear arc. Obviously she was not joking, and the voice of her words came from the heart. The different world is getting more and more interesting. Where do we go next? I have already planned to go to Alabasta, where there is a fairly good opponent, which must be resolved, and we can continue to sail after we get it done. Then listen to you and go to that place first. Hearing this, Faith nodded lightly as if understanding. Okay, let's go on. Yang Fan, set sail. The sails were unfurled in an instant, and the sea breeze was blowing. Under the guidance of the recording pointer, the ship began to speed up, and soon headed for the distance. Before leaving, Li Yiming and Goddess Si looked at the twins next to them intentionally or unintentionally. Kulokas, who was hiding in the dark, noticed these two gazes, and quickly withdrew his knowledgeable domineering arrogance, with a lot of sweat flowing from his forehead. It's scary. Where did this unknown strong man come from? The young people nowadays are getting more and more scary, and the sea is getting more and more lively. Luoji, the era you lead has become it's getting more and more dangerous, and I really don't know where the future will go. However, these have nothing to do with me, an old man who has retired. Now I am just a lighthouse keeper. Let's make trouble as young people do, the times don't belong to us old guys anymore. The voice drifted slowly, revealing a touch of helplessness. At this moment, Li Yiming and others have sailed a long distance. It snowed suddenly in the sky. This very weird weather change caught everyone a little off guard, but before you got used to the situation, the heavy snow stopped suddenly, and the sky began to rain again, mixed with the strong wind. Kuina was almost thrown away. After a while, thick fog appeared on the sea again, covering all sight lines. What the hell is going on in the sea area? So, this is a great route. You can't trust the weather or currents. The only thing you can trust is the record pointer in your hand. If you can't adapt to this environment first, you can't gallop on this sea. Let alone becoming the #1 swordsman in the world, Kuina, you still need to practice a lot. Even at this time, Li Yiming still didn't forget to tease his little apprentice. The consequence, that is to make the girl very unhappy.